So I'm here today to talk to you about Morgellons disease and how nurses disperse it, doctors tolerate it, and how Vladimir Putin theorized letting this happen would give him more power over the world. It's a parasite called horsehair nematomorpha or pighair nematomorpha, depending on how much they dislike you. The parasite then goes to your bone, leaching bone marrow metals from your bone, causing you to have more dense metals go into your bone, which causes bone cancer because these more dense metals receive more of the sun's radiation, causing the bone to burn out. Morgellons disease is, simply put, these parasites and chargers in the body. That's how you tell if you have an electrostatic charger. Pressurize your tongue to the roof of your mouth. Take your fingers, go like this. If it makes that noise and your tongue depressurizes, you have an electrostatic charger in your thyroid. This means you're a brain victim. This is why when I touch right here, it contracts. Because the charger puts pressure into your body with ions. When you touch here, those ions then leach into your finger, relieving pressure, causing the skin to contract. Nurses put this in your body. There's two ways you get Morgellons disease. A nurse will put it in your body by putting you in a bed. They put you into a trance. They pin you with magnetism so you have this overwhelming urge just to sit there. They put a box of worms at the bottom of the bed. Your feet are hanging over the edge of the bed and the worms bite your feet and they tell you not to move and ask the nurse to check your feet. Or they take your electrostatic charger, they turn it on so you're negatively charged. They positively charge the other person and it pushes the parasite into you. Because the parasite's magnetic responsive, because it pulls magnetic responsive particles into the center of it with ions. Now I want to explain to you how you determine that a nurse did this to you. You go into a hospital, you demand an ultrasound, you don't bring guns, you don't bring militia, you don't use that ultrasound to run it down your nurse's back and find the neck breaker, which holds her accountable to put these devices inside your children. You want to know if your children has brain cancer? If their head is swelling out like mine, run a metal bar around their head, just like I'm doing right now. If this depressurizes, you've interrupted the ionic flow with the metal bar. Watch the child's head and make sure it doesn't get smaller. If it gets smaller, your child has a brain charger and they have brain cancer. Go to your local hospital and just ask your nurse to use an ultrasound on her. Be polite. Do not bring guns. Do not bring militia. Do not shut an entire hospital down. Chain the doors shut. Check your doctors. Don't do that. I'm telling you, it's neck breakers that are holding your doctors accountable. I have one in. I know what it can force you to do. I've never done anything like that because I wouldn't. But I know what weak people can be forced to do. And healthcare is weak. Because they see the dead people come in, one after another. All it takes is an ultrasound on the spine. That's it. Ultrasound on the spine. Run it up and all the way down. Be quick though, because they'll flip it really fast like this. So watch for that. Watch for that. Watch for the nurse to jump, because when they move it, it hurts. They move it really fast, it's going to scrape her spinal cord. It's going to Watch for that. I'm telling you, every nurse in America, every nurse in the world has a neck breaker in. The emergency room nurses are the ones that you want. The ER nurses and the psych nurses. You want to confirm Morgellons disease exists and that Vladimir Putin is doing this to the world? Simply ultrasound the back of a nurse. I promise you, you'll be surprised. The nurse has a neck breaker in, you know she's done bad things. Execute her. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't start executing them one by one. Because then the media would get involved. You'd be arrested. You'd have to give an explanation for why you did it. The neckbreaker would be discovered. Vladimir Putin would be held accountable. The world would be saved. You'd be a de facto world leader. Don't do that. Vladimir Putin is using Morgellons disease to kill the entire human race so that he can take a smaller colony and rule the world. He wants to make it illegal to live in certain places once the population dwindles. He wants to kill off every single species because they poop out methane and he thinks it's harming the universe. He's radiating me right now for telling you this. An ultrasound to the back of an emergency room nurse will prove that she has a neck breaker in. And you can hold her accountable for not asking for help from her colleagues. It's time that we ask them nicely to use ultrasounds on them. It's time that we put them in an MRI. It's time that we invent my magnetic syringe, which has a magnetic thing that pops out, which pulls the neck breaker down into the needle and pulls it back out. It's time we invent that syringe so we can save these nurses and save healthcare. It's time. What did France teach us? It taught us that it's time to take things into our own hands when they say, let them eat cake. I don't care if they have food, let them eat cake. I don't care if they have anything. Let them eat cake. No, that's not what you do. World leaders are turning a blind eye to this because they have neck breakers in too. Storm your government buildings is a bad idea. Don't bring an ultrasound to a government building and demand that world leaders show you their necks. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't ask Justin Trudeau if you can give him an ultrasound. Don't ask Donald Trump if you can check his neck for an injected magnet that breaks it. Why else does he stand there like this, turning like this? Melania Trump just like this. Don't ask Emmanuel Macron if you can check his neck for a neck breaker. Don't do it. Certainly don't storm government buildings. I've taught you how to detect the electrostatic charger. If you've got one in your body, you're a dead woman or you're a dead man. Only one way to get him out. Overthrow Vladimir Putin. The bunker has already agreed to a stand down. In the event that Vladimir Putin is arrested, the bunker stands down. They use the drones with mind-reading device, software, and hardware on them to cue him to tell them the location of the bunker because they don't even know their own location. They're not allowed to know it. They can't put drones over the bunker. There's several locations in the world that they can't put drones over. The Kremlin is one of them. When you go to the bunker for work, you're brought there under blindfold and in sedation. Most people are not allowed to leave the bunker. The only way that your Morgellons is getting better is if Vladimir Putin is overthrown. So the bunker has said in the event that Vladimir Putin is arrested, they will immediately issue a stand down. They'll stop using these drones to hurt all world leaders and people. First. Secondly, they will use magnetic synapse copying or mind-reading device systems to read Vladimir Putin's mind to get the location of the bunker after cueing him with an earpiece, which is put in magnetically, or you put it in the mouth and it pulls up magnetically. Clicks in. This then takes a line of magnetism to it, which vibrates two particleized balls on the plastic. They then vibrate the cochlea, which translates it to sound. You turn it down to a whisper, and the mind mistakes it for a thought of its own, and it can't help but think of what you say to it. That's called a cue. Charlotte Gazzaniga discovered it. Dr. Charlotte Gazzaniga, the greatest mind in the world. She's been erased from history because she refused to cooperate with Vladimir Putin. I'm telling you right now, check your nurses' necks with ultrasounds. Check your world leaders' necks with ultrasounds. Hold them accountable. There will be another coup or overthrow of a government in this world and in this lifetime. Don't you forget when it happens to bring the ultrasound and hold them accountable. It only takes one overthrow to launch a nuke. Just one. Unfortunately, I'm told the nukes have been radiated. The circuits are no longer good. It takes weeks to get a nuke in the sky now. They're mock governments. Mock governments. What we must do immediately is prove that healthcare has neck breakers in. Through this, we then can ask the question, who would put these in and who's in the position of power to do so? From there, we have my testimony evidence to arrest Vladimir Putin. Arrest him and hold him in England. Hold him at England in their most high security prison possible. Make sure the guards know that their chargers and their networks were from Vladimir Putin himself, because he has prison breaks rehearsed. He's already rehearsed these with teams. Once at the prison, pass emergency laws to use magnetic synapse copying on him and implant and use an earpiece on him. This must be done so he can legally be held accountable from the evidence that's at the bunker. At the bunker, you will find kidnapped children. You will find kidnapped people on life support. You'll find inventor physicist Dean Kamen. Dean Kamen's missing, in case you didn't know. His company's being run without him through the earpiece. Dean Kamen, I love you. This is in your memory. Little baby Thomas at the bunker, I love you. This is in your memory. The walk-off children, lured outside with the earpiece with their mama's voice, or a hologram of an alien in the woods saying your little green men are your friend. Little toddlers that walk off and never get found again. How far can a toddler get? You'd find a body. They're pumping little children full of heavy metals so it goes into the cell and pressurizes out the other littler, more buoyant metals. They're then pulling them from the body with electrostatic chargers into a negatively charged body. That one then cleans out any other heavy metals that could have pulled through. And from that body, it gets pushed into Vladimir Putin, which is why he looks so young. Because these metals then pressurize his cells and stop them from sagging and bagging. They pressurize his cells and keep him alive. Don't ask me why. I cannot give you an answer for this. One man wants the entire world to himself. Don't ask me why. I can't tell you why I worked for him. I did it because I was young, naive, and afraid. Don't ask me how I know what I know. Simply act. It's time.